Welcome to Finding Elara, a safe space where authors, artists and creatives share their world-building style and mindfulness tactics. Brought to you by Bushland Castle Productions, a micro-publisher with an author support platform that nurtures creative growth and storytelling excellence. I'm really excited to share some very special episodes with you that we recorded at the Indie Author Bookfair in Bunbury on the 30th of November 2025. There are 27 interviews in total that I'm going to break down into individual minisodes. They were all recorded live over a 4.5 hour period. If you want to see the live, then it's on the Finding Elara YouTube page. I'll make sure that I've got the link inside the show notes. I had a team of supporters that worked tirelessly with me to pull this event together. Before I release the interview episodes, I wanted to take a moment to talk about the process we went through to make this happen and thank everyone who generously gave their time and support along the way. I know that this is very much out of the ordinary from what I usually share on the show, but I think there will be a few people that really get a benefit from understanding some of the ins and outs of what happens in a live event. So here goes. I think the easiest way to share all the information with you is to start from the beginning. I attended the Pros and Paws event held at the Indie Realm in Subiaco earlier in the year. It was my first in-person event because I live in the Wheat Belt and generally meet people online. Being a creative in 2025, I don't think that's really out of the ordinary, even if I was living in the city. But sometimes it's really nice to meet people in real life and get to know their 3D persona. Just as a side note, this was the first time that I met one of the squires who has been writing a story for the Otherworldly Emergence novella series. That's Heather Salter Purvis. And it was the first time I met Ian, who I had previously interviewed on the show. I also had a chance to get to know the Indie Realm shop owner, Shannon Riley. There were many other people there, but people parties can be a little overwhelming. So I can't remember all the names from the day. My hubby Joel went as my wingman, and that was really cool. While I was at the Pros and Paws event, I spoke to Ian about the Indie Author Bookfair and asked if he would be streaming the event or if he had approached any podcasters about interviewing the guests. He hadn't at that point, so I said maybe it would be worth a conversation, and we pretty much left it at that. I was halfway through season 2 of the show at that point, so I thought, hey, sounds like a really great opportunity. I wasn't certain how we could make it happen, but I knew that it was possible, so Ian and I conferred and I presented a proposal for how Finding Elara could help support the Indie Author Bookfair by recording a live stream at the event and creating minisodes for release afterwards. We agreed to trial it this year and see what sort of response we would get from the authors. I sent through the questions in advance, and there were a number of details that I needed from each author. This included guest release forms so that I could share the interview we had with them, promotional material, and excerpts of their books. There was a lot of paperwork, and I can give you more information on that if you want in maybe another episode, but that would take a while, so I'll skip it for now. Then I had to think of the technical specs and how I could fund this little adventure. I had heard about the Australian Cultural Fund through a publishing friend, as she had used it for one of her books. It's a government-supported fundraising platform that allows patrons to get a tax break for all of their donations. So it's sort of like Kickstarter, but the creator doesn't have to pledge anything. I set it at 1/4 of the price that we would need to make the event happen and sent the details out to the world. I created individual pics for each author and their books, highlighting that it was going to be a live stream event and really hoped that I would pull through with enough funding. Unfortunately, we didn't meet our pledge amount. We actually only made 7% of what I was asking for, but at least 7% is more than I had beforehand. I am going to have to try some different avenues next time. First thing I realised was that I wouldn't be able to interview the potentially 30 authors at the event by myself, so I contacted Paul Vandermeer, a podcaster who is located in Bunbury. I've been interviewed on his podcast, Forest.chat, before. We actually talked about podcasting in my interview on his show. I asked if he would be interested in alternating interviews with me so that we would be able to sustain momentum throughout the event. I calculated that it would be 7 minutes per interview. So he brought a timer with him and we thought we could keep each other accountable. For the minisodes, I didn't just want to have the interview and that was it. I wanted to make sure that we had a chance to highlight the guest personality and share an excerpt from their material. Originally, Izzy, the BCP sound girl, was going to read the bios and excerpts, but we knew she had other commitments on the day. We contacted Chris Ilsley, who has broadcasting experience, to cover that aspect for us. We ran several test runs leading up to the event. I chose Riverside as my main platform for podcasting before I started Season 2, and I knew that they had the capacity to live stream straight from the app. I had to get my YouTube activated and linked to Riverside, and I wanted to make sure that we had separate microphones. I invested in some DJI Mini 3 mics so that there was a separate transmitter for each of the incoming streams. It's really important when you are recording to make sure each feed is separated, otherwise editing is a nightmare. Even better, Riverside had added an inbuilt guest feature on their platform recently. It was about a month before the event, so it was really convenient and made the recording even easier. The paperwork that I went through in preparation for the event took a significant amount of time, and I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to get it all done. I was working until about 10 p.m. the night before the event to finalise the last of the paperwork, but I tell you what, I slept like a baby after I knew everything was in order. I also like to share my appreciation with the guests and supporters of the show. We are taking up their time to have these interviews, and everybody's time is very precious. Near the end of Season 2, I had some appreciation tokens created with little certificates. These went out to each guest, Bushland Castle Productions shareholders, members of the Shadow Lair, and sponsors from Season 2. These were sent out at the end of Season 2, and most of the guests did unboxing videos, which was so much fun to watch. I commissioned extra coins to be created for the guests at the Indie Author Book Fair, and origami folded notes with a big thank you on the front. I used my little Cricut printer to put the BCP logo on the back. I took time to write personal cards to each of the guests we were going to talk to on the day. And the surprise guests on the day, I wrote cards for them afterwards. I don't have any coins left now, which I think is the way it should be, because these were specifically for Season 2. And I'm considering doing the same thing for the end of Season 3, because I think they went really well, but we'll have to wait and see. You will have to look at joining my Shadow Lair to guarantee one for yourself if you're interested. I was intending on using my mobile phone for the recording of the video aspect, and that is what I conducted all of my trials with. But a week or so before the event, hubby said I would be able to connect his Swish camera. Because of that, we needed to connect it by lead to the laptop. We knew that could have caused a tripping hazard, so we had quite a few things that needed to find a workaround for. The benefit of using the camera is that you can actually look through the lens and adjust appropriately. When I was using my phone, you needed to use the actual laptop itself to see what the video was showing. So it was going to be confusing either way. The camera was definitely a benefit though. I was staying at Sam, my Buffy Night friend's house leading up to the event, and her husband Tim realised that he had a trolley we could use to place the laptop and camera on to wheel around the event. It was really quite an inspired idea. It would cover so many problems that we had thought of. Then, as I was still finishing the paperwork in the days leading up to the event, Joel and Tim went in to inspect the location. We needed to know where to put the Starlink, as the location is notorious for spotty internet. We also needed to scope out how we were going to navigate all the tables. We had a small table layout that Ian had sent us in advance to work off. When they returned from Bunbury, they had a Bluetti as a little gift to BCP and Finding Elara. It's like a mini power generator that's the size of a paper box. You know, the ones that have 5 reams in it? It fit perfectly on the trolley and it made the whole setup mobile. Sam and Tim had used one of the Bluettis on their caravan and swore that it would be more than sufficient to run the camera and laptop throughout the event. So we ran several more trial runs until we could get it all going smoothly. We thought that we were pretty much ready to go the day of. We had printouts of all the paperwork. My darling daughters were there to assist chasing up minor paperwork issues. My son was there to watch the feed and moderate the conversation. My hubby was the technical support and camera controller. My friend Sam took on the role of producer. She controlled the timer, helped prep the area, making sure that the books were in front and centre, kept Paul and I on track, and did everything that I hadn't even thought of to prepare for. It was not easy work, and we made several faux pas that we learnt from, and we'll look at improving next time. Like the link for the live wasn't working properly to start with. Fortunately, that's where Tim stepped in. He fixed that and sent out new posts and updates throughout the event. He helped watch the feed, and he fixed any technical glitches that we had along the way. Once we had started, the time literally flew by. My kids ended up leaving a couple of hours into the event to return to their homes. My mum popped in for a quick hello, and I saw several people that I knew, which was really nice because we used to live down in the southwest near Bunbury. Joel and Tim tag teamed the whole day through, making sure the trolley was situated in the best position and camera angles were as good as we could get them. They monitored the feed and switched to hotspot when necessary. They helped with the comments after the kids had left, and it was just non-stop. Sam was spectacular. I didn't realise how much I needed her help until she stepped up and did what needed to be done. It must have been exhausting for her, and I honestly think she was the hardest person working on the whole team. Paul was having a blast meeting all of the creatives, as it was a little different from his normal interviews. The intense pace of the day and the wide variety of people required to complete the tasks, it was just awe-inspiring. We could see Ian constantly running around and checking on people, making sure things were in order and that everything was working to plan. Chris had a table in the second room, so I didn't get a chance to see him work until halfway through the event, but he also had the opportunity to step up and talk to the authors as well as read their bios. There were a few things that happened at the event that I wasn't really sure about until after. It was really intense, and we were on a mission to get as many interviews done as we could. In general, I think that we did a really good job for our first live stream, and I'm so thankful to have had the opportunity. Ian was a superstar for letting me live stream from his event. I could not have done it without Joel, Sam, Tim, Paul, Chris, Izzy and the kids, and of course all of the wonderful guests that trusted us with their stories. If you are listening, thank you again. I really hope that you enjoy listening to the minisodes. In the next special episode, you will hear from E.A. Olivieri. I was lucky enough to do the interview and read the excerpt. Chris also chatted about her origin story and what led her onto the writing path. Thank you for listening to the show. If you'd like to get in touch with myself or the team at Bushland Castle Productions, then I'm on Instagram and TikTok as at Finding Elara. There is a Discord channel and Facebook group called Finding Elara Podcast. The Bushland Castle Productions team are on Facebook, Instagram and Discord as BCP Creative or bcp.creative. Or you can check out the website bushlandcastleproductions.com for the most up-to-date information. If you'd like to support the show, then please share these episodes with a friend. Or if you want to go the next step, you can buy us a cuppa. Head on over to ko-fi.com/Finding Elara. That's ko-fi.com/Finding Elara. There is an option for you to buy us a cup of tea for $2, or you can join the Shadow Lair for $5 a month, where you receive exclusive content and advanced information about the show. The music is brought to you by @Keys of Moon Music and is called The Epic Hero. If you enjoyed listening to Finding Elara, have any questions or just want to share your world with us, then please get in touch. Until next time, keep up the search for your Elara.